in a real snowball fight, who do you think is going to win? Be honest, put in the chat below who you think is going to be the winner. Everyone knows it'll be me. Anyways, guys, welcome to Grace Students Live. My name is John, and I am the Director of High School Ministry at our Lexington campus, and I'm so excited to be here with you guys today. How was everyone's Thanksgiving? Thanksgiving for me was amazing because it's my favorite holiday of the year because it's all about food. Not only that, I get to have both an American and Korean style Thanksgiving. We get to eat turkey and kimchi at the same time. And the same Thanksgiving meal might sound disgusting to you, but for me, it's amazing. So I hope your Thanksgiving was amazing. Now that Thanksgiving is over, we get to focus on Christmas, the second best holiday of the year. Or maybe you already have, because actually I heard from one of my students that a couple of weeks ago that they've already started putting up their Christmas decorations and their tree. I know for some people that's sacrilegious, so put in the chat if you think putting up your Christmas tree now is way too early, or put down in the chat when you would put up your own Christmas tree. Well, Christmas might look a little different for everyone this year, whether it's because we're not traveling to our families and friends, but there are two things that remain unchanged this Christmas season. One is, of course, Jesus, because this is all about Jesus. But number two, it's baking. There will always be baking, even if there's no measuring or even if there's no looking.
Welcome to tonight's episode of Never Measure.
We're back!
On tonight's special Christmas edition, we're not only never measuring, but we're also never look. So on tonight's episode, we are going to be making gingerbread houses.
We're building houses.
We're building houses tonight. The plan will be that we will not look at each other, we'll work back to back. I will give you instructions on how to assemble and how to decorate. Hopefully, your house will look like my house at the end.
I can look.
No, you can't look.
Never look.
Let's see how good you can listen.
Okay.
First step first.
Wait. We're building houses. Ready.
You got your tool belt ready?
Okay. Tool belt ready.
Are you ready to begin now?
Ready to begin.
First, you're gonna take your bag. Is your bag filled?
No,
Do you have any? I'm gonna do a repair because it looks like there's a crack. You got a crack? Find your crack. Do any repairs that have to be done. We're going to take the window side and put frosting on the side, the window, the edges of the window piece where it will meet the front and back of the house. Just attach. Oh, that did not work. All right, well, we're just gonna go for it. So make sure you're putting adequate frosting. Did you have a three-dimensional structure here?
I do.
And is it secret? Oh. I think I had mine upside down. We're working on it. We're good there. We're good there. Okay. We have a three-dimensional structure.
Yes. Oops. It's coming out the top. Not good.
Now I want you to put the scoops down, and then you're gonna put it on the other way. Wow, this structural is rough because mine don't come together. But it's okay. And then put some frosting on the top. Fill the crack. Oh gosh. Let's get to the decorating part. You're going to put dots of frosting on the roof. Every time two swirls come together, put a little blob of frosting.
Oh, okay.
On the pattern.
I'm listening.
Listen here.
But I'm not looking.
Okay, you're gonna alternate between your red and your green M&Ms. We'll see how good you listen.
I'm listening.
Good. We all know that I was the best listener as a kid.
Okay.
Oh, but on the bottom row, on the bottom row, let's not do those. Okay? In this precise order, yellow gumdrop. Now I want you to go purple, orange,
Orange.
red, pink, green. On one side, I want you to do all blue dots.
Blue dots.
Oh gosh. Okay. What's happening over there?
Nothing.
Okay. You're gonna take your cotton candy.
What a great. We have cotton candy in front of us?
Yeah, it's been sitting out for a little while, so it's a bit hard. Crumble that on the top or shred it like snow. Do some nice loops, like some U's, like almost like stringed lights, okay? You follow? Oh wow, that was a big blob. Oh gosh. Red and green dots.
Tricky.
Yep. Making it up as I go. And I want you to make a tree on the other side with your frosting. Oh, you know what's a good idea?
Tell me.
Can you cut M&M in half?
Yes, I can.
Yeah. Okay. Cut your M&Ms in half and like put them like the inside part. Attach that part to the wall.
What? Okay. Perfect.
I don't know how you're cutting. How are you cutting them? And the front of your.
Wow.
Two red swirls.
Could you repeat it?
Blobs at 11 and 1, and put 2 swirls on the blobs. Next, we're going to take our giant dogs.
Giant dogs. Oh.
Yeah. And we have to unwrap the giant dog. And then I want you to put a big blob of frosting in the middle of the right side of, front right side. Put the dog on the roof.
Dog on the roof.
Oh yeah, I don't think this is gonna work.
Done with the assistance of a little cotton candy.
That's done. Are you done?
I think so.
Should we compare? Hey! So,
Not too bad.
okay, let's just analyze this real quick. Our 3 swirl candies. I said a pink gumdrop. That's clearly a purple gumdrop. Whatever. On the sides of a home, it's hat pillow, okay? Don't judge it. What's that? Why is there an orange?
I was listening.
You are not.
You said on the other side of the blue.
I said on the other side of the blue.
Oh!
Look at his ear. He got dented.
Oh no.
But our string lights look pretty good. Yours are pretty sparse.
Sorry.
Overall, I feel like this was quite successful. Oh gosh.
Did I listen?
Yeah.
Did I listen?
You did listen.
Did I look?
No.
Good.
Never look. Students, put in the chat what you would rate these 2 lovely houses and our giant dogs. Until then, see you next time. And don't forget, never measure and never look. Bye!
Merry Christmas.
You have some frosting in your nose.
Face that way. Remember, I am your father, David.
Wait. We're gonna put a little extra snow on top.
Now?
Yeah.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas!
First There was an episode of Never Measure. Then there was an episode of Never Look. But there better not be an episode of Never Taste. Because it looked yummy. Not good, but it still looked yummy to me. Hey guys, did you know that this is the last GSL of 2020? It seems like we began this year filled with anticipation of the year, and we thought it'd just be like any normal year. But it was actually a little different. Has anyone promised you that things are going to be better next year? That there's going to be normal graduation, that there's going to be normal prom, and there's going to be a vaccine, and things are going to be back to normal? I don't know about all of that, but promises can be a really tricky thing. I don't always trust them. But then again, it depends on who makes the promise to me. For example, when Hina tells me she's going to promise to bring me some ice cream, I know she's going to deliver on that promise. I trust someone like her. Because when she makes a promise, it's as if it already happened. I know that she's going to keep her word. So I live like she already has done what she said she would do. With God, though, things can be tough. And we know what he's done in the past, and we read about his promises for the future. But what does it look like? What does it mean to live like he's kept his greatest promise today, right now? Jesus.
Hey everyone, Akash here from the East Lexington campus. It's December. It's the last month of 2020. This year is almost finally over. We've made it. We're so close. I'm glad you guys are here with us. I'm trying my little Christmas sweater. I hope that you guys have something Christmassy too, whether it's a hot chocolate or it's a blanket, whatever you guys got going on. I hope that you're enjoying the season. Well, we've just entered into the season in the church that we call Advent. And I grew up not knowing what that was. My church didn't celebrate it, and so I've had to learn it more recently. And if you look it up, Advent just means the waiting for the arrival of a notable person, thing, or event. And so for us, that's waiting for and getting ready for Christmas Day, right? For Jesus. But I was thinking about what other things I get excited about waiting for. And I am a really big music person. When I was in college, my favorite band was Portugal the Man. And I was in a time where this band hasn't released music in like 3 or 4 years. And the fan base is getting a little restless, a little too excited. The band tweets something and people are like, are they teasing a song? Are they teasing an album? And eventually, there's more and more teases like that, and people are like, okay, I think there's an album, and all these rumors are starting to come out. People theories on what the album might be called, a theory that it was going to be a 2-part album, and just kind of getting a little more excited about what might be happening. And then finally, it's confirmed. There is an album. We have a name for it. People are now guessing what the album art might look like. There's shaky phone footage from concerts, and people are like, is this a single? And as we're getting closer and closer, the date gets pushed back, the album's finally done, the press has it. I'm reading articles of people who have listened to the album, and they're telling me what to expect or what's new or what's different. And I have the date on my calendar, and I set time aside, and when the album finally came out, it was like Christmas Day. I spent an hour or two just headphones in, just listening, doing nothing else. After waiting for 3 or 4 years and intense waiting for months and months, it was so good for that to have finally arrived. Well, that's kind of what we do every December with waiting for Christmas. The reason we do that is because the people had to wait for Jesus the first time. There were lots and lots of prophecies about Jesus coming, and for hundreds and hundreds of years and generations, people had to wait for Jesus to come, and they got excited and they got waiting. And so every year we kind of repeat that process. Well, today we're going to be looking at one of the prophecies from the book of Isaiah and kind of what made the church excited about Jesus. So if you want to join me, go to Isaiah 9 in a Bible or on your phone. While we're getting there, I do want you to know a little bit about what's kind of happening in Isaiah's time. You see, it's important for us to know that as Isaiah is writing, things aren't looking good for Israel. If you were there in Israel at the time, you'd be a little stressed. You see, the Assyrians are building up their army, and it's getting stronger and stronger. And the forces are getting closer and closer, and they're kind of gobbling up other countries as they get closer. And if you're in Israel, you're thinking, we might be next. Like any day now, we might get invaded. And it was not a happy time to be around there. And so Isaiah is speaking these themes of God's punishment and God's salvation to this very anxious and unsure people. And so the passage we're about to read picks up right after a prophecy that the people are about to become a people who live in darkness. And so you pick up there in Isaiah chapter 9, verse 2. The people who walk in darkness will see a great light. For those who live in a land of deep darkness, a light will shine. You, this is God, will enlarge the nation of Israel, and its people will rejoice. They will rejoice before you as people rejoice at the harvest, and like warriors dividing the plunder. For you will break the yoke of their slavery and lift the heavy burden from their shoulders. You will break the oppressor's rod just as you did when you destroyed the army of Midian. The boots of the warrior and the uniforms bloodstained by war will all be burned. They will be fuel for the fire. For a child is born to us. A son is given to us. The government will rest on his shoulders, and he will be called Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God, Everlasting Father, Prince of Peace. His government and its peace will never end. He will rule with fairness and justice from the throne of his ancestor David for all eternity. The passionate commitment of the Lord of Heaven's armies will make this happen. Well, I was just reading to you from the NLT, or New Living Translation, although I normally read from the NIV, or New International Version. So I actually want us to look at both those versions really quick, side by side. Do you guys see the difference that's there? I'll highlight it. If you look there, like in the NLT that I just read, everything is happening in the future. The people will see a great light. The people will rejoice. But in the NIV, people are saying past tense. The people have seen a great light. The people have rejoiced. Well, which is it? Is it future or is it past? And I'm showing you guys verses 2 through 4, but the same exact thing is happening in verses 6 and 7 in the original language. So what we see happening is there's a little bit of confusion with what to do with the original language, because our English doesn't really have a way to express what's going on. You see, what's happening is this like version of speaking that only happens in prophecy. It's not like a past tense or a future tense. It's like a consider it done tense, where the prophets are talking about things that are going to happen in the future, but they talk about it as if it's already happened right now. And they do that because they were so confident of what God would do. You just had to consider it done. That the things that are in the future have implications for as they've already happened, as if it's already been done. And so we got to look at what's happening exactly in these verses. And if you skim it really quick, people will see a great light. They're rejoicing twice at the nation and at the harvest, twice at the breaking of the yoke of slavery and the oppressor's rod. And there's the promise of true peace, the burning of the warrior's boots, and the government of eternal peace. So generally speaking, it's all really good things. I think that if you were the nation of Israel and looking at the Assyrians, you're comforted by the fact that we're being told things are better. But at the same time, there's this disconnect. There's this sense of, well, things are actually getting worse. They're not getting better. It's hard for someone to talk about the yoke of slavery has been broken. But you can see that the people are getting closer, and actually I think we're about to go into slavery, not out of it. And so there's this gap between what is happening right now and what is being promised of the future. How can we act like those things are already done when we're nowhere near that stuff being done? We live in a very different time as the people of Isaiah's time in Israel. We've actually seen the fulfillment of some of these promises. We talk about how this is a passage about Jesus, right? In verse 6, like a child is born to us. We know that's Jesus. And even the part about people having seen a great light, if you fast forward to John 9, Jesus heals a man from blindness or releases him from darkness. And he says, I am the light of the world. The great light has come. We have seen him. And so we can today rejoice in the fulfillment of some of those promises. But the other promises, breaking the yoke of slavery or the rod of the oppressor, of peace lasting in our time, we haven't seen those yet. We haven't seen those promises come to fruition. We are still waiting. And if you talk to anyone in the street, or if you check social media, you know there's a lot of division out there. There's a lot of suffering out there. Lots of confusion and stress, and you can either see it out there, or you can experience it in your own life, in your own circumstances. And with the passage, like the yoke of slavery being broken, there's slavery all around the world, and if you don't see it around the world, maybe you feel it in the way that you feel bound to stress or anxiety or depression. And we long for that yoke of those chains to be broken, but we can't just act like it's already happened, as if like the passage is. The yoke hasn't been broken yet. How can we say that it has been? But we can rest in the promises of God, because God keeps promises. God hasn't changed. The God who made those promises to Isaiah and his people is still the same God who hears our prayers today. It's hard. We need to believe in the then, right? We're living in a now, and the now is all sorts of mixed feelings, bad feelings. But we've got to believe in a then that God has promised about that yoke of slavery and the rod of the oppressor and the peace. And the challenge that's before us today is one I'm stealing from this book I'm reading right now. It's called Living Life Backwards. And the challenge that we get from that book that's for us today is, what difference would it make to our now to begin to live in the light of the fact that there will be a then? What difference in our now when we believe that there will be a then? So for example, right now we're experiencing still the coronavirus. And the right now is nothing people want. Schools don't look like we want them to. Thanksgiving wasn't what we hoped for. Christmas will be more of the same. Our churches are still online. Events are still getting canceled. The now isn't great. Let's be real. But we do believe in a then. We look forward to a time that you can go to the grocery store without wearing a mask. That you can have friends come over to your house without kind of panicking like, wait, where have you been in the last 2 weeks? That our schools can be full, that our youth group can meet in homes and churches again. We look forward to that then. And the question for that is, when we look forward to that then, does that change the way that we do things now? Does it change how we feel masking up, knowing that it's a temporary period of time? Does it change the way we feel when events are made smaller or postponed, knowing that someday we'll be able to plan like we used to and have the events and family gatherings that we want? And we see that with coronavirus in terms of a then and a now, but we also have that in tough relationships between friends or tough situations in our family. If we believe in a then when things are going to be better, how does that impact the way we think right now? How does that then impact the way that we feel about our circumstances right now? How does that then maybe impact the way that we can act right now? That's the question before us. That's actually the question of Advent. As we look forward to Jesus on Christmas Day, but we also look forward to the rest of the promises in Isaiah. How does looking forward to that and focusing on that change the way that we act right now? How do we, like the prophet Isaiah is asking us to do, how do we consider it done? How do we act as if that's already happened, even though it hasn't happened yet? Well, there's a lot that we could do with that. I want to just recommend one thing that we can do right here together. When we consider things done, we don't just do that on our own. We do that because it's God making these promises. And the God who makes the promises and asks us to consider it done is also the same God that can help you feel that and find comfort and peace in those promises. And so we want to have God help us remember that we are waiting expectantly for Christmas Day, that we are waiting expectantly for justice and righteousness and peace on earth, that we are waiting expectantly for that then, even though we are in the now. We want to invite God into that process, invite God into those feelings. And so my challenge to you is the next time that negative emotions well up, or that frustrations are building, or things feel hopeless and you forget about the then, can we pray to God and have God help us remember the then and feel that comfort right now as if it's already been done. So we're gonna pray this prayer together, and wherever you are, I just invite you to close your eyes and take a deep breath and pray this with me. God, I want to thank you for the promises that you have made to us. Thank you for your Son, Jesus Christ, who has come, is present with me right now, and will come again. May your Spirit help me find rest in that truth, and help me feel calm in believing that your peace and justice will someday come to earth. Amen. As we go out from here into the rest of our Advent season, how is God challenging you to live right now in light of the then?
Joy to the world, the Lord is come. Let earth receive her King. Let every heart prepare him room. And heaven and nature sing. And heaven and nature sing. And heaven and nature sing. Joy to the world, the Savior reigns. Let all their songs employ, while fields and floods, rocks, hills, and plains repeat the sounding joy. Repeat the sounding joy. Repeat the sounding joy. Joy, unspeakable joy, overflowing well, no tongue can tell. Joy, unspeakable joy, rises in my soul, never lets me go. He rules the world with truth and grace, and makes the nations prove the glories of his righteousness, and wonders of his love, and wonders of his love, and wonders of his love. Joy, unspeakable joy, overflowing well, no tongue can tell. Joy, unspeakable joy, rises in my soul, never lets me go.
Ready?
Merry Christmas! Make all the noise you can. All the noise you can. Dylan, you want to come make noise?
Thank you guys for joining us. We hope you laughed, had some fun, and learned a little something about who you are, who God is, who you are to God, and who God is to you. GSL will be back.